From Texas is recognized
I yield back.
for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And let me, as we're talking, that's quite an act to follow, let me say. As we talk about the Constitution, in the preamble, it talks about providing for a common defense. And that's what this committee, that's our primary mission. That's what this committee is all about. It is unfortunate, in my view, that some have attempted to mischaracterize this hearing as an attack on American Muslims. Let me be clear. It is not this committee that is doing that, but Al-Qaeda that is targeting and attacking our Muslim youth, as evidenced by the testimony of Mr. Bledsoe and Mr. Behe. In the past 2 years, there have been 27 terror plots, and each of them involved extreme radicalization of the Muslim faith. This is not to say that all Muslims are the threat. To the contrary, the moderate Muslim is our greatest ally in fighting recruitment of Muslim youth. And the cases of our witnesses, along with Major Hassan, the Fort Hood shooter, and many others, show that the threat to America lies within our own country. Major Hassan was promoted repeatedly in the name of political correctness, despite obvious signs of radicalization. These indications included conversations with al-Awlaki, arguably the greatest threat to the United States today. And to ignore the threat of radical Islamic extremism in the name of political correctness presents a serious threat to the American people. Both Attorney General Holder and Secretary Napolitano have testified that the number of jihadist websites present imminent danger to the United States. And having worked for the Justice Department prior to Congress, I understand the importance to coordinate outreach between law enforcement and the Muslim community. And I'm very concerned that there are organizations out there speaking for the Muslim American community, telling them not to coordinate with the FBI and law enforcement, as evidenced by the poster that we saw by the Council on American Islamic Relations. I hope we can begin the dialogue and ask the necessary questions. Before I ask the questions of the witnesses, I want to read from Senator Lieberman's letter to John Brennan, the Assistant to the President for Homeland Security, when he said, "The failure to identify our enemy for what it is, violent Islamic extremism, is offensive and contradicts thousands of years of accepted military and intelligence doctrine to know your enemy." We have to know our enemy, and it is radical Islam in my judgment. I'd like to ask Mr. Bledsoe and Mr. Behe, your children were kidnapped by these two mosques. They were held hostage. They were sent overseas to both Yemen and to Somalia, and their lives were destroyed. Have these two mosques done anything to repair the relationship? Have they ever told you that they're sorry? And have they ever told you that they will change their practices?
I'll speak first. No, I have not heard from Hamas at all about whether or not they are sorry. And I think that, going back to the question from the lady from Texas, we're not talking about all Muslim. We're talking about Islamic radicalization. And that I wanted to make clear, because that is a difference. I have Muslim in my family, I mentioned earlier. I'm sitting beside two in the middle. I'm sitting in the middle between two. So we're not talking about all Muslim. We're talking about the ones who are hiding behind the modern Muslim. And they're the one who is a threat to America, a threat to our babies, a threat to the children, and they are in the danger.
Do the mosques know that they were responsible for the radicalization of your son?
Sure, they know, but they're waiting around to do it again to someone else's child. That's why I'm here today, hoping that American people, you're listening. I hope you hear me. I hope you learn something from that. I don't think that any other child or any other parent in America should have to go through what I'm facing today.
I agree with that. Mr. B, has the mosque that radicalized your nephew ever apologized or taken responsibility?
Sir, no, never has they apologized. They, as a matter of fact, attacked us and called us names and tools of infidels. And it seems that still nobody from the leadership, our Congress in the state of Minnesota, the Islamic organizations, none of them have ever met 20 or more Somali American families who were refugees, get their kids from the civil war, lucky enough to raise their kids in a college level. Those families were hurt. Not a congressman, not CARE, not any other organization, not the mosque people. None of them ever visited them or even mentioned them. As a matter of fact, they call us liars.
And infidels. One last question to Sheriff Baca. You appeared before Jane Harman and myself last Congress, and
time of the gentleman has expired.
okay, I'll follow up with a written question. Thank you.